It was a cold but happy night at Lambeau Field on Monday night. The Packers, they did what they needed to do, and that was win. They beat the Los Angeles Rams 24 to 12. Aaron Rodgers did what he does on Monday nights ever since the Fail Mary game against Seattle, and that was win. This is my gut reaction to tonight's game. Welcome to the Packer Mentality Podcast. My name is Patrick Corrigan, and I'm your host. You can find and follow me on Twitter at Packer Mentality. My podcasts are available on YouTube, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. If you are watching me on YouTube, please take a second, hit the subscribe button below. It helps out the channel, and it costs you absolutely nothing. And as always, thank you for joining me. This was one of the more balanced attacks the Packers have had offensively and defensively all season. The offense had very good balance running and throwing the ball, over 100 yards rushing the ball. Aaron Jones did the bulk of the damage, the 17 carries, 90 yards. A.J. Dillon had two strong runs for touchdowns before leaving with a possible concussion. Hope he's okay. Patrick Taylor came in and had a couple good runs that helped move the chains in the second half on that last drive. Passing attack. The receivers, we finally got to see Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs on the field at the same time. And I think it makes all the difference in the world having those two out there. Romeo Doubs picked up where he left off, making clutch catches. He had 5 targets, 5 receptions, 55 yards, moved the chains, moved the ball down the field. Christian Watson, 4 catches, 46 yards. My one complaint is the Packers did not make enough of an effort to get Watson involved and didn't get him the ball in the first half. It's my one complaint in the first half. Second half, they got him the ball. I think they made a concerted effort. I think it made all the difference in the world. Definitely affected the defensive backs. He managed to get a pass interference call on Jalen Ramsey, who is one of the best defensive backs in the league. Ramsey clearly just grabbed a hold of him, much like what we saw on a lot of the replays. These Rams defensive backs, that seemed to be their strategy. Just grab a hold of the jersey and hold on. Defense. Excellent job by the defensive line tonight. Preston Smith had a couple sacks. Jerron Reed was involved all over the field. Kingsley Enagbare, again, all over the field. Great effort. Actually, great effort by him and Preston Smith to get sacks. Kingsley just seemed to be all over the place. And Justin Hollins had half a sack. Devontae Wyatt had half a sack. Good to see him on the field. But just overall, the defensive line was really strong tonight. Quay Walker also had a sack with a forced fumble and seemed to be all over the field, especially in the first half. Had a pass breakup and a big hit for a loss on a running play. He looked good, especially for a rookie. And I think he went over 100 tackles for the season, which for any player is good. For a rookie, I think is fantastic. I don't care, where you think he's making tackles, whether he's in the backfield or 10 yards down the field, he is making tackles. My one complaint with the defense was that while they only allowed 111 yards passing, there were 2 plays that just drove me crazy. One was the touchdown pass in the second half. Baker Mayfield, I can't remember who he threw it to, but Rasul Douglas seemed to be the closest defender, and the receiver ran into the end zone. Rasul was about 3 yards behind him. Receiver just ran into the end zone, stopped right in front of him, turned around, caught the ball for a touchdown, and none of the defensive backs didn't seem to make any attempt to contest that ball. And I'm not sure what they were doing or what they thought was going on, but they just allowed a guy to come in, turn around right in front of them, and catch a touchdown pass. Second half, Adrian Amos just got cooked and actually he got called for an interference call, but he got bailed out because the ball was just grossly underthrown. Uh, Otherwise, it had been a touchdown. So one of those bizarre times when the penalty actually works in your favor. Rasul Douglas actually redeemed himself a little bit later in the half. He did get an interception. Actually, Kenny Clark, his pressure forced an underthrow, threw it right to Rasul. But then, for some reason, Rasul didn't obviously wasn't watching the games over the weekend, and he tried to lateral the ball, and not sure who he was lateraling it to because it didn't seem that there was anybody there, and it turned into a mad scramble for the ball. Luckily, the Packers did come up with it, but unfortunately, I think that drive stalled. Defense, don't have a whole, other than that, I don't have a whole lot of complaints. They held the Rams to just 72 yards rushing and only 111 yards passing. Don't care who you are or who you're playing. If you do that in the NFL, you did a pretty solid job. Stars of the game. On offense, Aaron Jones had a huge game. A.J. Dillon had the 2 touchdown runs. Romeo Doubs, welcome back. So happy to have you back on the field. Some big catches tonight. Quay Walker with his sack and forced fumble and the hit for loss, sharing it with the whole defensive line, who just had a great game and forced Baker Mayfield to make mistakes and pressured him all game long. And last but not least, Keyshawn Nixon, once again, providing a spark, big returns, had a 52-yard kickoff return. Feels like every time he returns a ball, something good is going to happen. And I still can't believe it took so long for this team to install him as the return man. And we had to endure all that for the beginning of the season. Now, I'm going to be back later in the week. We'll talk a little bit about what the Packers need to do going forward to make the playoffs. And also, we'll start talking about the Miami Dolphins. This is going to be a huge game coming up on Christmas, I believe. And despite how good I think the Packers might have played tonight, I don't think this effort is good enough to beat the Dolphins. The Packers need to continue to improve. This Miami offense is much better than the Rams. They have a lot of speed. Their receivers are unbelievable. And if the Packers don't get their act together, they're going to have a problem. So got to continue to improve offense, get everyone healthy again. Hopefully David Bakhtiari will be back next week and he's all healed up from his emergency appendectomy. We'll see. But more weeks with Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson on the field is a good thing. In the meantime, please have a good rest of your week. If you are traveling for the Christmas holiday, please drive safe, travel safe, be patient with your relatives, and as always, go Pack Go.